Thanks for kicking us off there, Matt. In terms of an overview, just like Matt said, I use custom labels in my own media buying. Allows me to get quick pivot tables, pull up insights. But whenever we're talking to our power users, they're doing the same. And it's because it allows you to slice and dice your data, not just by the default platform category targeting that Northbeam brings in by default, but specifically by your organization's own naming conventions. Well, it gives you different views of your data, empowering you to pull out kind of quickly, compare whatever variables you guys care about, whether that be top of funnel or product categories or destination URLs. The goal is to just get to the truth of what's driving the most impact for your business. And there's a few other reasons where if you walk through with us today and make a couple labels, or over the weekend, you guys get a couple into your account, what you'll see is the option on the overview tab. If you're familiar, there's those charts and then the table underneath. You're actually able to readjust that table to align with any custom labels that you make. Most folks just use the default because that's nice and easy, but this is a nice, powerful view to get a snapshot for all the things you care about. It also allows you the ability to get a lot more granular in our customer click path data. So in that advanced section of Northbeam, customer paths that lets us look at all the different touch points folks are interacting with. Again, by default, we give you platform and category, but if you build your own set of labels, you're able to leverage this in that customer click path. And then you can run analysis like this brand does here. What is the click data against all of our awareness campaigns? Are these the first touch point? Are they the last touch point? Are they assisting a journey? You can get a lot more powerful with your customer paths if you have custom labels made. And then, of course, the sales tab, the quick pivot tables, this is kind of the most important reason that we do the labeling. Gives you those quick views of things you care about. A couple that I love and have talked about before, this brand here, they have custom labels for their different managers. So Jimmy manages acquisition, Sean manages retention, and their CMO gets a nice high-level view of how both are doing. Another one in here, offer structure, whether that be no offer or 25% off. When I run this analysis, like just looking at this data here, roughly a third of the spend, but our one-day ROAS efficacy is roughly the same. That's very interesting to me. If the profit on these is 25% getting pulled away from it because we're giving away a discount, and we're not actually seeing that much better initial direct response conversion, that's something I want to relay up to the team, make sure my entire growth team knows that, so we can deploy new offer structures. And then last one at the bottom here, static versus video. I'm going to walk through a couple labels today and make them live. Static and video is the one that I often like to recommend doing first. It's a quick, easy way to which resources are performing best, right? For a lot of folks, video takes a lot more internal resources to create. Anecdotally, I see oftentimes where video is actually underperforming regular statics. If you can run a quick pivot table against all your creatives across all your campaigns, across all your channels, it's a nice way to validate that hypothesis. A couple more that we're going to run through today. Top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. This brand here on the left has it set up across omni-channel, which is a great way to view, okay, is top of funnel more effective on Google or Snapchat or TikTok? Some brands will do testing campaigns. And so I'd like to make campaign level rules accordingly, and then high level bucket rules here in the bottom right. Some folks like to adjust all of their channels so they align right with 3 buckets. But the point being, any customization you want to do, tailor it to your needs. And for today, we're going to walk through direct step-by-step on how to get started. The biggest key for this is naming conventions. So if your buyers, whether it be Google, Facebook, TikTok, wherever, are frankly sloppy with their naming conventions, or they haven't had a need to adjust them before, I very much like to bang the drum of how can we get buy-in from the buyers to make good naming conventions. And if you have any already in your account today, what I'm going to do for the next couple minutes here is walk through exactly how to make those custom labels. So now is a great time if you are logged into Northbeam, want to pull up your dashboard side by side. I'm going to run through the rules real quick, and then we'll make a few live together. And so step one, fairly simple, where you're going to locate it on the left-hand side under the advanced section in that dropdown. You're just going to want to click on automatic label rules. Once you do that, you're going to be pushed into this section here. If you've never made a rule yet, it's going to be empty for you. So you're going to want to click on create one. Pretty easy step there. And then step three, there's a little bit of decision being done on this page. So this is the first screen you're going to get prompted to when you're creating a rule. The label key here is what you want to name the label, right? So let's say we're top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. We would label that funnel stages or whatever you want to call it. And then for the level here, that actually you want to align with your granularity. Our rule system aligns with ad level hierarchy. So if you're making rules based off ad names, you want to use the ad level here. But once you have those selected, just head on down to the bottom here and click create rule. And that'll push you up into this next tab here. And so on this tab, there's a couple things going on. The first thing at the top, this name of the label rule, this isn't required. This is just for your own organization. So I often just give it a quick name. This matcher section here, this is where you're going to be defining all of the criteria for your rule. So in this example here, we just have UTM source equals Google. And then once we have the rule that we want, what we're then going to do is output the value. And so in this example here, that we've changed the UTM source to campaign name. We've changed equals to matches. And then we put in top of funnel, adjusted the label to read top of funnel. And I'm going to dig in more on this with a live example. But the last step here is clicking simulate. And once you click simulate, it's going to run this rule here, the descriptor and the matcher, against all of your live campaigns and over the last 30 days. And if your rule matches, it'll actually highlight in green. So that's a quick gut check before like finalizing and saving a rule, is always run this simulation to see, hey, did the rule I make actually, is it coming in how I want it to? Once you've done that, you've validated your rules, maybe you've made a few others, you're just going to want to click save in this screen, and then click save in this screen here. That'll spit you back out to this section. And by default, it'll already be toggled active for you. But you can turn it off, turn it back on, whatever you want. If you want to duplicate, you can click this little copy button over here on the right. And then to make sure it's working, just open up another tab, head on into sales, and you should see your rule right there, surrounded by the category, platform, and targeting that Northbeam brings in by default. And so that's kind of the quick thumb through of each step that's required to output the labels. Sounds super easy, but I'd like to do some together. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second here while I pull up a few more examples. And okay, so the first thing I like to do is pull up a piece of scratch paper, whether that be a notepad, or I oftentimes just do sheets.new and get myself some scratch notes. But what I want to do is I want to map out like, okay, what's the label I want to make? And then what are the parameters that fit that criteria? So for the sake of this webinar here, I've pulled up a few examples that I'm going to walk through. But this is my first step, is going, okay, what do I care about? Do I care about video versus static? If so, I'd write down here video versus static. On the left-hand side, I'd know, okay, I want to output video, I want to output label. And then here, I would just be making myself a note of what are all my video names? Do I name them MP4? Do I name them vid v2, anything that you name here, I just want to make a mental note, put it in a notepad, because then what we're going to do is go and make them. So first one here, I have an example shown of this widgets co. We have our top, middle, and bottom of funnel nested with the platform underneath. And so with custom labels, you can do nesting, which is really nice. And so if I leave all the platforms selected, we can see that we got omni-channel action going on. So we can see, okay, top, middle, bottom of funnel. This is what I would like to see. Across the board, our top of funnel CPCs have been dropping by 7%. You want to dig more in there, but that's an interesting insight for me. That high level, I'm always kind of tracking. And if I wanted to go make this rule, what I would do is go over into advanced automatic label rules, give it a name, funnel stages, select the granularity. And since this is going to be a top, middle, bottom funnel, I'm going to use the campaign level. And then we're going to go hit create. So this is going to be my top of funnel rule. So I'm labeling it top of funnel. And then I'm going to put my campaign name. I'm going to change it to matches regex. And this is a important thing to know. If you click this little click to show tips for using regex, this is a little bit engineering speak going on here, but the takeaway here is I always put this case insensitive match in front of my rules. That way, if somebody makes a slight typo and they spell it Google, right? Like that. If I didn't have this case sensitive, it wouldn't pull it in how I want it to. So I'm going to go TOF, label it TOF. And home run. I simulated the rule to see if it's working. And I can see here in green, everything that has TOF is pulling in how I want it. I oftentimes do a gut check of, let me go MOF. Okay, none of my MOFs are pulling in here. Searching BOF right here, but I'm seeing some get pulled in. So I'm actually going to open up this smart shopping. Go back over here. And that is why. So these guys have a rule and have decided for a couple campaigns, they're going to do a little bit of a full funnel approach here. And instead of labeling full funnel, they are deciding to lump it into top of funnel, which is great, right? And if you're making the rule, Simulate will kind of let you know that, hey, we need to make a decision for this full funnel campaign here. And one other kind of nugget when you're simulating, if you maybe you didn't make the right rule, right? So maybe I did TOF and I spelled a little funky. If I then simulate this again and I say, I thought this should show up green. Why is it not showing up green? I'm confused. If you then hover over this metadata over here on the right-hand side, what you'll see is all the metadata that our system is getting for this campaign. So when I look at this, I see that, oh, I have a spelling error. I called it tofu F. It's just tofu. Boom, that's what we want. So I'm going to click save here. And then for middle of funnel, this rule is a pretty easy one. Nothing too fancy here. I'm just hitting copy. So if I hit copy here, it makes me a new rule. I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to leave this the same. I'm going to leave this the same. And this time I'm just going to change the TOF to MOF. Quick adjust. Those all look good. Home run. I'm going to do one more and BOF. But maybe they have, or maybe you guys have not perfectly consistent names, right? And you want a couple different options to show up under bottom of funnel. What you can do here is click add rule, and it'll make a handful of different options for you. And you could hit campaign name, matches regex, and maybe you want to spell it loyalty. Maybe that's a bottom of funnel action going on, right? Same thing. Maybe we want to make sure it doesn't match top of funnel, right? So any additional ones we want to add on here, we can kind of follow the syntax, make sure you have or selected, and we are off to the races. Gotta make sure I'm keeping my labels clean. And then all I would do here is click save. And once I do, I get this visual here. So it's exactly how these ones were made. You can see the nice clean top, middle, bottom of funnel nested underneath the platforms here. And for the next one, I'm just going to take a quick, this one's going to be quick too, interest versus lookalike, right? Relatively easy. This brand doesn't have them set up, but when I take a peek at their naming structure on the campaign, I'm just in sales tab and I've gone in and I've selected Facebook platform. I see that they have a lot of lookalike targeting. They have a lot of interest targeting. Very useful for me as a buyer is which type of audience is working best. Sometimes Facebook seed audiences are great, and sometimes you need to go after interests. And so the quick way to go about doing that, now the rule, we'll call it interest versus lookalike. It's going to be a campaign level rule. And I'm going to do this one quick. Campaign name matches regex. Show me that case insensitive thing that Ryan mentioned. Let me put that right there. I'm just going to type LLA. And let's hit our simulation. And it looks like we caught one. Verifying that they look good. That's what we want. Home run. Copy. And now I'm doing another one for interest. And let us simulate. Boom, that's what we want. So now I am going to click save here. And while that loads, I'm just going to refresh this page one time here. And you're kind of getting my exact process, right? I'm making the rule, I'm simulating it to make sure it's working. And then I'm making sure I'm not missing any campaigns and that it's pulling in how I want it to while I'm doing it live. So now platform, I'm going to go interest versus lookalike. We're just going to show the two. And boom, it looks like interest for them. Slight delta, 8, 9, 10% improvement over there. Pretty even split. I wouldn't drastically change anything too much here, but if I start seeing my CPC slip or my click-through rate slip drastically, I may know that like lookalikes are getting better click-through rate performance. So if I have to start dialing in those, it's good to know that those types of audiences are trending in that direction. Another one that I love to do is, yeah, let's knock out this video versus image one. And right here, this brand, they have set up an ad format. And this is great too, right? Image single, video feed, you can get all the splits in here. But if we want to go ahead and make a rule, automatic label rules, hit create another. And we're just going to go add type. And for this one, since this is an ad level rule, we want to select the ad level granularity here. And I didn't necessarily show myself jumping in here, but for this brand here, I'm looking at ad level granularity. And when I look at their ads they have rolling, I'm building my rules off of part of the name that they have in here, right? So that is why I want to do the ad level granularity. And then I'm going to click create one. I'm going to go ad name, matches regex, run through the same drill, add that case insensitive. And this time we're doing vid in image. So image, easy enough. And I'm just going to add a couple more for like little spelling errors. Maybe the buyer's a little sloppy with spelling. IMG, JPEG, like that, and let's give her a test. Home run. And I'm just quickly checking video here to make sure no videos are pulling in. That's exactly what we want. Now I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to go video, vid, MP4, and I'll get rid of this one. Video. And we can see here that because we're making two rules in the same label, when we hit simulate, it's actually going to highlight in green some of the other ones that are actually pulling in under image, right? So this is a great one where we want to use the filter here and type in vid. Okay, it looks like all the vids that we're catching are pulling into video. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to hit save here. And let's see these splits. I'm just going to do a quick refresh. Okay, a little bit of refresh. And now I'm going to go add type. I'm just going to do everything where we know the labels are concrete. And a pretty nice split here. Images outperforming slightly and getting a little bit more spend. I like the decision here from the team. So there's a few more here. That hooks is another one that I love with clients. And just a quick way to, let me hit a quick refresh on that. But another way to, was meeting with one client yesterday, and they, for the month of July, they've been running 8 different hooks across all their ad types. And they found that hook 1, 2 were high performers. Another very easy one, you can see what I have for my notes, is just ad name contains. Nothing too fancy. For this one here, a PDP homepage and collection page. And for these, same type of thing. Destination URL. What do we want to label it as? This one I have a little bit already kind of made, but ad name, PDP, simulate. And boom, we have our PDPs. Let's copy for our homepage. And this right here, this is where, if you are pulling up side by side, you'll want to have a sense of what your naming structures are. So I'm just going to do a little refresh on that one so I can show it. But the destination, another ad level one that's pretty easy and straightforward. This influencer one here, this brand, they wanted to get a nested rule, because what they have is a handful of influencers that are all pulling in from UTMs, but they have a UTM source that delineates between the channels. So for them, they want to have a platform influencer and then nested underneath another subcategory. So if we wanted to do that, here's kind of the full version already made, but I'm happy to kind of how we go about doing it, right? So for them, I see that medium is influencer and source is Instagram. So what I'm doing is I'm going case insensitive. Equals influencer. I'm using the and here. And then I have written in here Instagram. And so what'll happen on this one is if I simulate here and I go search for a Jasmine, she didn't show up for me, but let me do search for Shannon. Not showing up on the simulator. but we can see in a couple spots here, it is working, which is exactly what we want. So when we click save here, that is how you kind of use the and function and leaves you with a nice clean nested underneath. And so if there's anything by default that our system is bringing in that maybe you want to do your own nested labels, I love recommending source and medium as a way to build those segmentations. Handful of different examples here, and here's my over there. But there's two last little tidbits I want to toss at you guys as you're making your own rules. And then we'll continue cutting in and getting into more advanced ones for future webinars. But one tip here is if you just want to do a slight adjustment, right? So maybe there's a branded search campaign that you're naming it something a little bit different, and you want to make sure it's marked as branded, right? One way to individually label any campaign, ad set, or ad is to click in to any campaign. And then if you scroll on down, you'll see this traffic source labels section. And this allows you to manually update any one-off line item. So this one right now is pulling under Facebook ads. Maybe we wanted to change the category and this one was a retargeting, right? What we would do is we would just go in here, select the label that we wanted to adjust it to, and just click the plus sign. And I'm not going to relabel this one for these guys, but if you click that plus sign, it'll be relabeled forever. You can change it back easy peasy, but a nice quick way to kind of just do a one-off without having to go in and make a rule yourself. And then last but not least, this traffic source label editor. And so another one that's great for organization. But if you click the traffic source label section here, and let's say, I do see this sometimes where by default, our system is bringing in YouTube ads as its own platform. But some brands, they may want to just group all of YouTube ads in together with Google ads. By default, Northbeam puts it in YouTube ads. If you want to have it in Google ads, what you do is you just head on over to the traffic source label editor. You'd select the platform or any separation that you want, right? So right now I've pulled up YouTube ads. In this hypothetical example, I'd want to change them to Google ads. So for this, I'm just going to go platform. Now that I have them all selected, and I'm going to go over to Google ads. And if I click bulk label here, that'll adjust all these ones to Google ads. And any future, this rule also kind of updates our system. So any future YouTube ads, if we have it all selected here, will also update to Google. So if you find yourself looking at your own sales tab and you see there's some campaigns that aren't falling exactly where you want them, right? Or maybe you do have that full funnel campaign that you want to label as Facebook. The traffic source label editor is a great, easy way to do that you can kind of do that in bulk. I will stop there for this part of the webinar, open it up to QA a little bit, or if anybody wants me to rerun through a section or maybe toss out a label that they're making for themselves, or yeah, Matt, what are we seeing?
Right, Ryan, a couple questions. Somebody asked the question what the rank is in the property section. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I'll actually toggle back and get in. The rank section here, by default, everything in here is going to come in as a rank 10. If I were to push this one up to rank 9 or rank 8, the lower we go, rank 1 is going to be the highest, right? So if I have a set of robust rules in place, and maybe I do want to use that top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel example. If I want all tofu to show up in tofu no matter what, I would put this as rule number 1. But let's say I wanted to have that tofu, mofu, that all-in-one campaign I showed earlier, where if we ever see all three of these, even though it has TOF, if I put this as rank 1, this will always supersede that rule. So if you ever have two rules that are slightly conflicting, try changing the rank on one. Just bring it to the front, give it that highest priority, and that'll tell our system that this is the one we want to sort at the highest priority. Great question, though. Any more, Dave?
Cool. What is the reasoning for using matches rejects?
Yes. The core reasoning is it gives us a lot of flexibility. And in future webinars, and I think we'll have a closing follow-up here too, but in future webinars, it allows us to get a lot more robust. If you use things like same string location for all of your names, where the first variable is separated by an underscore and the second variable is always the same. If your naming structures are set up in a more advanced way, regex allows us to kind of match that robustness. But admittedly, this entire panel is something we are going to work on refactoring to kind of reduce some of the friction. But the regex is in there so we can get very robust with labels and allow you to do that case sensitive match and just kind of manipulate how you need to.
Great. I have a question for you. If you are, so go to create another rule. Just, you know, we're doing static versus video, but only on, say, TikTok.
Ooh, great one. So let's do this. I'm going to add a group. And first, let's do, so how I do it is put a platform filter at the top. So I'm going to change this group to and then I'm going to do campaign name. And so let's just say you separated your videos in static by campaign name. Video, and maybe we'll, different way to spell it, MP4. The key here is you want to limit this rule just to our TikTok platform. And so I'm going to go making a rule real quick. I'm just going to go test. And hopefully this brand's spending on TikTok. So we can see. Yeah, and they are. Okay. So great example, TikTok one right here. Right now, I know I want to limit it to a TikTok platform, but I'm actually not sure what to put in here, right? Is it TikTok? Is it TikTok with a space? I can go and I can search, and I'll search my TikTok campaign. If I find it here, I'll hover over to the right, and this will give me all the metadata for it. So when I scroll up here, I see that, okay, MBT platform, we're pulling in as TikTok. So I'm going to do MBT platform, make sure I give it the same thing. And now I'll just, let's just add to carts. A to C, add. And we'll simulate this rule. And it still didn't look to pull. So let me do another little test.
Did I stump you?
Hopefully not. This is just where sometimes it's a little trial and error.
We're making this a lot easier for everyone listening. For right now, this is a little bit more tedious, but it's going to become a lot easier in the coming months. I
found the root, and this will happen to folks as well. When I made this second group, see how I have and here? I'm now telling the system, make sure the platform is TikTok, and the campaign name includes both add to cart and written out add to cart. I'm going to want to toggle this to or, and my gut tells me this should work. So hopefully I'm right live, and we are. Love to see it.
Boom. Awesome.
And we click save, and we're rocking and rolling.
Cool. Yeah, the naming conventions is just so important. And obviously everyone on this call should know that, but it really does make a world of difference when you're able to come in here on a quick view and look around, right? And just have, hey, I just want to see which landing page is working, or if the landing pages versus PDPs are working better, and all those kind of things. So that's how we recommend really utilizing Northbeam to its full potential. So does anyone have any more questions that we can answer